Councilmember Wolfley, unless he's in chambers. He's in chambers, okay. Wish people would let me know. Okay, so Wolfley's in chambers, so we're just missing for Councilmember Ndebumadu and Gardner. But we do have a quorum, Mayor, if you want to start at 8:30. Mark, we be ready to go at 8:30?
Yes, we'll be ready to go at 8:30. We are live, so I'm keeping the microphone off in chambers as much as possible.
My clock now has 8:30, and so we will begin. And I call to order the regular City Council meeting of Monday, March 15th, 2021 at 8:30 p.m. We have been dealing with some technical difficulties, so this meeting is being conducted through Zoom this evening. Having said that, I would like everyone to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so very much. For the record, Madam City Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, we do have a quorum this evening. The only council member absent at the moment is Councilmember Gardner.
And I will state that Councilmember Gardner was on earlier, trying to join us. Having said that, we will move now to agenda additions, deletions, or amendments. I'll entertain any motions at this time. Hearing none, we will move forward to citizen participation. Madam City Clerk?
Mayor, we did receive one comment for this evening, and I'll go ahead and read it. And this is from Dorothy Van Doren from Victoria Heights Drive. Hi, first I want to say what great services our city provides to us, and thanks to all who have any part in providing these services. You all deserve a big thank you, as we have all gone through very different times in the past year, and although it hasn't fully passed yet, we look to be turning some corners. My only suggestion is that sometime in the near future, a day can be scheduled like we have for shredding and electronics disposal for the purpose of disposing of anything we have hanging around our garages, like old paint, unused garden supplies, etc. I once went to the landfill station to dispose of such items and felt like I was leaving Earth and had arrived on another planet. I really don't wish to drive over there again to just dispose of a couple of partial cans of paint and 3 almost empty bottles of plant fertilizer, etc. I doubt that many others want to do that either. So hopefully by the end of summer, maybe one of these events can be held within Bowie, at the high school, the library grounds, city property off of Route 450, or the Bowie Bay Sox Stadium. It would be greatly appreciated by many and very helpful to our environment. Again, thanks to all for your dedication to providing wonderful services to us. Cheers and good health. And that's all the comments, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. We will move now to see if there is any presentations. I don't see any noted. Seeing none, we will now move on with the agenda to our council, city boards and committees, appointments and reappointments. This evening, the Miss Bisola Owalambi Kahande was interviewed on February 16th for appointment to the Education Committee. The council concurred to appoint her to the committee as a student member for a 2-year term. I will open the floor now to move to appoint her.
Mayor, I move that we appoint said member to the committee.
A second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. At this time, I'd like to have you take the constitutional oath of office. So if you would, I state your name.
I, Bisola Owalambi Kahande,
Do swear to affirm or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of regular or member of the, and Nate states the committee,
execute the, I didn't hear that. I don't know.
education, it's okay, it's okay. According to the Constitution
According to the Constitution
and the laws of this state.
and the laws of the state.
Well, you've just completed your oath, and congratulations, and thank you for being willing to serve and support the city of Bowie.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I think we all need to give her a round of applause. There we go. Again, thank you so very much, and thank you for your volunteering. Moving now on the agenda, I would go to the city managers. Well, first, any council announcements? Hearing none.
Oh no, never mind. Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, council member, did you have an announcement you want to make? No? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and the residents out there who are listening to us. From the staff perspective, we are hard at work on preparing the FY22 budget, and we expect to present that to you all in the first around the 1st of April. But we're working hard on that, and of course, delivering the services that the residents of Bowie are demand. And otherwise, we're trying to vaccinate as many of our people as we can. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, city manager. At this point, we will now move to the consent agenda. Open the floor for motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
It's been moved and properly second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. At this time, I'm seeing no old business, and we will now move to new business. The first thing in the new business is the adoption of Resolution R621, adopting the Housing and Community Development CARES Act Amendment. And I think we have with us our esteemed Mr. Jesse Buggs. Is that correct?
No, Mayor, you have George Jones.
Oh, Mr. Jones, my apologies.
No problem.
He's pretty easy steam
good
too,
evening,
Mr. Mayor.
And-
All right.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, my name is George Jones, and Grant Manager here for the City of Bowie Office of Grant Development and Administration in the City Manager's Office. I'm here tonight to present to you the Housing and Community Development CARES Act Amendment, substantial amendment to the FY 2019 to 2023 Consolidated Plan, an amended Annual Action Plan, and the amended Citizens Participation Plan. Under the provisions of the CARES Act, the city received another allocation from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, for $209,962. Several months ago, the city received its first allocation of $116,863 from HUD, and Council approved Resolution R31 20 on June 1st, 2020, to support 3 programs for the residents whose income was adversely affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Those programs were emergency rental assistance, emergency food assistance, and PPE procurement. We propose to do the same with this new allocation. Under the first set of programs, the Grants Office provided 54 tenants with $174,000 to cover up to 3 months of rental delinquencies, distributed 1,200 bags of food to over 1,400 residents in all 5 city council districts on consecutive Saturdays in October through and November 2020. We also utilized over 115 volunteers, most of whom were students who received community service hours. After successfully completing these programs during the heat of the pandemic, we are still receiving calls for help from city residents today. As a result, I'm here tonight to ask for your approval to continue these efforts with the new HUD CARES Act resources. The Office of Grant Development and Administration has completed the requirements of HUD for a substantial amendment of the city's citizen participation plan, the FY 2019 to 2023 consolidated plan, and the FY 2021 annual action plan. And I request your approval of resolution R621 to be sent to HUD for review and approval. Thank you, and I will respond to any questions that you may have.
At this time, thank you so very much, Mr. Jones. Are there any questions from council members at this time? Hearing none, I believe we need to open this up as the public hearing. Are there any comments? The city clerk.
No, Mayor, no comments were received for this item.
Hearing no comments, we will now close the public hearing at this time, and I will entertain a motion from the council.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of R-6-21.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, respond with an aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you again, Mr. Jones, and my apologies for calling the wrong name. But thank you again so much for all your hard work and all that you do.
All right.
We do appreciate you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to take the blame for that. I thought Jesse was going to be here too. All right. So, but I'm glad to see you, George. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. The next item on the agenda is a discussion regarding the request from the City of Greenbelt for sharing expenses related to the MagLab review. At this time, this for the citizens to understand, I think we got this on Thursday.
That's correct.
Afternoon.
That's correct, sir.
I don't believe anyone had an opportunity to review or discuss this prior to that. Is that correct? I'm asking. Go ahead, City Manager.
Yes, sir. It came to me on Wednesday, and I forwarded it out to you all, and then later on it was Mr. Waffle asked to put it on the agenda. But we had received nothing in advance at all, other than the email requesting, and I forwarded it to you all.
Okay. Thank you, City Manager. I think one of the things with this is, as we know, we've had some very strong feelings here within the city about MagLab and not wanting to have it interrupt or have any issues with any of our communities here in the city. At this time, I don't believe the proposed direction of it or the way it's laid out right now will be impacting the city directly. Is that correct, City Manager?
Yes, sir. We were informed by Governor Hogan and his representatives that we were completely out of the path of that particular train. Also, we were informed that the amount of money it would take to build and create this entity is billions of dollars, and so the possibility of it ever being funded is far-fetched for sure, but it won't come through Bowie for sure.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. At this time, any questions or comments? Well, actually, comments from any of the council members regarding the request?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes. I think that is Council Member DeFore Worthley.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of observations. I certainly agree that the plans don't currently affect us. I'm certainly sympathetic to the issue. I've been an opponent of the project as well for a long time. So I'm glad to see that A, it's not going to be a part of our neighborhood, and B, that it's unlikely to come to fruition at all. But I do understand that there is a concern that there may be, if it does come to fruition, that it would have an adverse impact on Greenbelt. That having been said, the thing of note that also came to us today, or at least I took note of it today, was the missive from Senator Cardin's office that's a guide to state and local government and the American Rescue Plan. So the upshot is that the recent COVID Relief Act is going to have a beneficial impact on communities across the state. And the good news for Greenbelt is that I think they're in line to receive about $25 million in aid for as a result of the American Rescue Plan. So I think that at this, and I suspect that their request for assistance preceded the arrival of this information as to how much was going to be available under the rescue plan. We ourselves are going to get some money at the moment, and of course it's all speculative, it's just an initial number, but my understanding is that we're currently expected to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 or $5 million, which is significantly less than what Greenbelt is expected to receive through, I think, a number of issues. Hopefully that can be remedied, we'll see. But I think my point here is that I think the request has been overtaken by events. And if we look at the monies that Greenbelt is expected to receive, I don't think they should find too much difficulty in coming up with the monies from the forthcoming rescue plan. So I guess I would say that I don't think that this makes a lot of sense for us to consider at the moment.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Thank you so very much. At this time, I believe Mayor Pro Tem had comment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I do want to address really just one thing for the record. I know my colleague, Councilman Wolfley, just kind of mentioned it in regards to the American Rescue Plan dollars. Obviously, there's a congressional inquiry into kind of the calculation that was put out there and that was sent to municipal officials, just because there is some confusion, right? We do not know exactly what we're going to get and other municipalities may get. Those numbers are obviously an estimate, just as you just mentioned. I agree with my colleague that, none of us want maglev in any of our communities. It's been such a sticky point for activists, both environmental and transportation wise, throughout the state and throughout our communities. But clearly it is moving forward as this DEIS progresses, and we'll see what happens. Let's hope that a project doesn't come to fruition, but you never know. The one question I have is, I never spoke to anybody about this prior to it hitting our inboxes, and I don't believe any of members of council also had any discussions with our counterparts in Greenbelt. Mr. City Manager, was there any conversation with the city manager in Greenbelt about this before it came to us?
No, sir. I received an email last Wednesday from some staff person in Greenbelt requesting that I forward. I think it came from the clerk. And I read the letter and I saw it and I said, well, okay, and I complied and I forwarded it to you all. But we had not, Miss Ard and I had not communicated, nor with the assistant manager, and it was a complete surprise.
Yeah, well, it's my opinion. It's same here. I don't think any of us have had any conversations with our colleagues in Greenbelt prior to this letter arriving to us. However, it's my opinion that we shouldn't necessarily close the door if they are in need of some assistance, right? And so it may be worth a conversation on the staff level from city manager to city manager to ensure that, you know, this is actually something that they do need. And as my colleague just mentioned, this may be something that, you know, they haven't realized that they got the American Rescue funds. They may not know the time length in which they get that, which will be within the next 60 days for a lot of the money that will be coming in. So I do think it's worth that. I don't recommend that this body shut the door on our brothers and sisters in Greenbelt necessarily, but instead on the staff level, just check to ensure that this request from a financial standpoint needs to be met. Again, this is COVID. Even though they did get, you know, a chunk of change, that we still are going to try to figure out what we're going to get as well. I don't necessarily think we should shut the door on them.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilwoman Harrison.
I totally agree with Mayor Pro Tem. We should not shut the door, and any resource that we can provide as far as advice, things that we did, you know, in order to kind of lobby not to have maglev come to Bowie. So whatever advice staff can offer to Greenbelt City, that would be great. So that's my suggestion. I also agree with what Councilmember Wolfley mentioned as well. So we'll wait to see as far as financial resources, what each will get. But I certainly think that we could offer advice or suggestions to them and have a conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other council members with comments before I make any?
Mr. Mayor.
Hearing none, yes.
You know, if the council's desire, I'll certainly contact the Greenbelt staff and find out the who, what, when, where, how, and why of this particular request, and see if they still need the assistance, and then we'll give them some guidance associated with how we helped deal with this issue 2.5 years ago.
Thank you so much, City Manager. That was actually going to be my recommendation, is that you reach out, ask them, and see exactly where we are with that, and see what kind of help we may be able to lend to them, or any kind of information or guidance that we may be able to provide to them at this time. And as my colleagues have stated, take a look, and if there is some kind of financial issue that we're missing, maybe we can bring it back up and talk then. Having said that, though, we know that most of us have our concerns about maglev, most importantly, and how it would disrupt the lives of our various communities. And we want to make sure that whatever is done, that it's in the best interest of the citizens, particularly of our areas and our community and our county. So having said that, any other comments on this? If not, with the direction that city manager is taking, I would say at this time that we have concluded all of the business as a city. I would like to thank our IT department for getting through this challenge that they were faced this evening. I think it speaks very highly of you to be able to switch over and get us onto a new platform and be able to allow us to conduct city business and get through this. So to all of you who played a role behind the scenes, to our city clerk, and to everyone, thank you so very much for all you did to make sure that our citizens and we as a council were able to conduct our business today. I want to thank you, and I will say to those who do celebrate it, happy St. Patrick's Day coming up to those in the city. I just ask that we follow all the restrictions that we have in place, and we continue to do that. And I do say to you, I'm really happy that we're trying to get, and I know our city manager and staff and council members and everyone is working very hard at trying to get everyone vaccinated. And we will not stop until that happens. And we will, for those who choose to get vaccinated, we are working very, very hard to make sure you have that opportunity. And along with that, I just remind everyone, we're still in the middle of the pandemic. We still have to follow the guidelines, and we still need to be very safe. Having said that, I think we are done with our meeting for this evening. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved and properly second to adjourn. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same favor. Hey, thank you, everyone. And again, thank you to city staff for making this happen. And thank you to all of our citizens for your patience with us as we had to go through a few machinations to make sure that we were able to conduct city business. So thank you to everyone. And again, have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.